Problem-based learning. The last several decades have seen monumental change in all aspects of our lives. The way we communicate, how we conduct our business, access to information, and the use of technology. Today, our students must be prepared to function in a very different working world than that existed even 10 years ago. The problems that these future professionals will be expected to solve are expected to run cross-disciplinary, surpassing all boundaries, and will demand innovative approaches and complex problem-solving skills. With a few exceptions, college and university faculty embark upon the business of teaching with very little training or instruction in pedagogy. We simply teach the way we were taught about some years back. The methods definitely have become obsolete. What worked in the classroom a decade or 2 or 3 decades ago, however, will no longer be sufficient, for the simple reason that the past approaches fail to develop a full battery of skills and abilities desired in a contemporary college or university graduate. It is very important that the characteristics of quality performance be understood by us, the student, and the teacher. Some of the important characteristics of quality performance include high-level skills in communication, computation, the technological literacy, and information retrieval to enable individuals to gain and apply new knowledge and skill as the situation demands. The ability to arrive at informed judgments is another skill, which means to effectively define problems, gather and evaluate information related to these problems, and then come to good, comprehensible, workable solutions. The ability to function in a global community through the possession of a range of attitudes and dispositions, including flexibility, adaptability, and as they say, only those survive who can adapt. Ease with diversity. So much diversity has been introduced in all aspects, be it people, be it processes, any aspect, and they are all diverse. So tomorrow's generation will be expected to handle this diversity with finesse. Motivation and persistence. Ethical and civil behavior is another important dimension which must be there for a successful professional. Creativity, resourcefulness, and the ability to work with others. The biggest challenge I feel the present generation is facing, they cannot gel well with even their peers, forget about generations across. So this ability to work with others is primary. Technical competence in a given field. Nowhere can we survive unless and until we have the technical skills other than the communication skills, soft skills, they come second. But the technical competence remains essential. Demonstrated ability to deploy all of these characteristics to a specific problem. We may be possessing all these skills unless we have the ability to apply them in real world settings in which we can work for a solution, only then the person can be successful. So with this background, it becomes important to evolve our pedagogy, the way we are teaching and the way students are learning. The Carnegie Foundation's report, Reinventing Undergraduate Education, a Blueprint for America, America's Research University, it was submitted in 1998, and it stated how we need to move, and it stated that traditional lectures and note-taking, they were actually created for a time when books were scarce, they were costly and were not within the approach of everybody. And lecturing to large number of students then was considered an efficient means of transferring knowledge, because that was the only option left. Books were not accessible, and when you could gather people, students in a group, delivering to them was cost effective and it made an impact also. Lecturing undoubtedly is still efficient, and has persisted as the traditional teaching method largely because it is familiar. For teachers, it becomes easy, and moreover, we are doing what we learned from our teachers. But it is doing little to foster the development of process skills to complement content knowledge. So it becomes important that we come up with a new, a better and more acceptable and sustainable method of learning. And here lies one answer in the form of problem based learning. It is actually one of the many active approaches to learning that makes student learning and self-direction as central components. So it means how the student can be motivated to be driven by self-direction. In a response to the growing dissatisfaction with the traditional teacher-centered paradigm, where the teachers, they are at the center stage doing all the thing, and the students' motivation, students' abilities are restricted to their rote memory. An increasing focus by government and professionals is now on what it is that students are able to do as a result of a university education. We are focusing more on the results. When they are educated, what will they be able to do? And there this traditional method is seeming to fail or is seeming to be insufficient. And the answer is, one of the answer I say comes through problem based learning. The basic principle supporting the concept of problem based learning, or PBL as we can put it, is older than formal education itself. Learning is initiated here in case of PBL through a posed problem, query or a puzzle that the learner wants to solve. And we understand that students today are driven better towards their goal when they have a problem in hand, when they have a puzzle to solve, and they will be more motivated. Their inner skills and abilities will come out with more perfection when they have a goal or a specific problem to solve. In this problem based approach, complex real world problems are used basically to motivate the students so that they can identify and research the concepts and principles which they need to know, know so that they can work on the given problem. Here the students, they work in small learning teams, small teams, close teams, which also instills a team spirit, bringing together their collective skill at acquiring, communicating and integrating all this information. So what we are doing is, we are transcending the boundaries of the traditional book system and letting them venture into the real world through these problems, where they think upon about these problem solving skills. They are in a way building on the same knowledge, but which will be applicable in the real world. Problem based learning thus is an approach to learning that is characterized by flexibility and diversity. I again repeat, both of them are the most asking skills in present times, in the sense that it can be implemented in a variety of ways, in and across subjects and disciplines in diverse contexts. So what we are doing is, we are broadening the horizons, where students are not just thinking about one course or one discipline, but across disciplines, a multidisciplinary approach. As such, it can therefore look very different to different people at different moments in time. This problem based learning, depending upon the staff and students involved in the programs utilizing it, who is doing it, who is solving it, how we are solving it and what we are solving it, it will all be differently defined and will lead to different definitions and different connotations of problem based learning. However, what will be similar will be the focus of learning around problem scenarios rather than discrete one closed subject. So students, in a way, they are venturing across disciplines and solving real world problems.